Hello students, today we are going to study class 7 bio and please come to page number 70 of the textbook. We are dealing with the chapter photosynthesis. Today we are going to start with one of the activity, and this activity shows that how that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. So what you are supposed to do, you are supposed to take two plotted plants, okay? Then you have to put it in a bell jar, okay, and just keep it in a totally dark room for 48 hours, okay. Then in one of the jar you put KOH, okay, and in another, and label it as P1, and in another jar label it as P2, okay. So KOH means potassium hydroxide, okay. And then after 48 hours, by keeping it in a dark, then you have to place these two jars in sunlight. So what is going to happen in after keeping it in sunlight for 3 to 4 hours, then you have to put iodine, pluck one leaf from each plant, and then you have to put iodine on the leaves. So what is going to happen? The leaf from P2 plant will turn bluish black, indicating that the photosynthesis has occurred and starch is being stored in the leaves. While in the P1 leaf plucked from the P1 jar, it will show no change in the color. That shows that no photosynthesis happened there. Why? Because KOH was consuming all the carbon dioxide that was required for the photosynthesis. That's why the food was not manufactured here. Okay, so thus it shows that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Now we are going to deal with the topic, that is fate of end products. As you all know that during the process of photosynthesis, glucose, water and oxygen is released or formed. So what happens to glucose? Whatever glucose is required by the plant for carrying out its activity, it will use it. And whatever extra glucose will be there, it will store it in the form of starch, so that it can use that very starch during the emergency situation when they are not able to make food, okay. So water is being formed during the process of photosynthesis, so that water the plant may can use it for different purposes, or it release it or lose it, that water, by the process of through the stomata, okay. Now oxygen, as you know that oxygen is the major byproduct of photosynthesis. So major portion of oxygen that is formed during the photosynthesis is being released into the atmosphere, but some portion of oxygen is being used by the plants, okay, for during the respiration things, because during the night time plant also utilize oxygen and release carbon dioxide, okay. So the major portion they give back to the atmosphere, but a part of it the plant also use it for respiration or for carrying out the different processes during the night. Now we are going to deal with the topic, that is significance of photosynthesis. So all of you know that photosynthesis process is very important, because during the process of photosynthesis plant manufacture food, okay, and that food give nourishment to plant, animals, other living beings also, okay. And photosynthesis, during the process of photosynthesis, what is going to happen? Plant capture, preserve the sunlight, energy is produced, okay, and by the plants, and this energy is stored in the form of fossil fuels. What happened? The plant is doing its life activities, but a time will come when the plant will die, okay. It will die, decay in the soil, and it will take thousands, millions of years. Then the trees, the plant is going to get converted into the fossils like coal, petroleum. That is also very beneficial for us. We are so much dependent upon petroleum, coal, natural gas, okay. So from where we get it? By the when these plants go decay and millions of years is take to convert them into the fossils, and then we are utilizing that fossil fuels for different purposes. Now during the photosynthesis, oxygen is released, and oxygen, as we all know, is very very required for our survival. We won't be able to alive without the oxygen. So it's very very important that photosynthesis should happen and plants should release the oxygen, because the survival of animals and we human beings is dependent upon the oxygen. Okay, and what is happening secondly, during the process of photosynthesis, the harmful carbon dioxide is being used by the plant. That is also helping to maintain the balance in the nature. Okay, and in this way plants helps us lot by providing the oxygen plus utilizing the harmful carbon dioxide. But during the night time, some exceptional plants are there. For example, people that intake carbon dioxide and release oxygen during the night time also. But rest all the plants, what they do during the night time, they also use oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Okay, so I have underlined the important lines. You have to write these lines in your copies and please learn it. Okay. Now come to the next page, that is page number 71. Now we are going to start the topic respiration. So all of you know that organisms require energy, and from there where they can going to get this energy. Why they need this energy? For in order to perform different activities and maintaining their life. Okay, for any process going inside our body, whether it is digestion, okay, excretion, everything requires energy. So energy is very very required to carrying out the different activities inside our body. So from where we are going to get this energy? When the food what we eat is broken down by the process of respiration, then the energy is released. Okay, what is going to happen? We are going to eat the food, and that food need to be broken down, and then that food, a digested food is broken down, energy is released, and that energy is released during the process which is known as respiration, and this energy we utilize to perform different activities of our body. And respiration happens in every living cells, in each and every cells of our body. Respiration is happening. There are two types of respiration, aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Respiration in which oxygen is utilized, that is called aerobic respiration, and anaerobic respiration where the oxygen is not used. Okay. Now aerobic respiration, what has happened in this aerobic respiration? Glucose is completely broken down in the presence of oxygen, and what is released? Carbon dioxide, water, and energy is released. So during aerobic respiration, the food is broken down and in the presence of oxygen, and it is converted into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Here is a schematic representation is given over here. Okay, glucose in the presence of oxygen, aerobic respiration is happening, and it is broken down into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Now anaerobic respiration, here what is happening? In the absence of oxygen, glucose is being broken down, okay, by some of the bacteria, for example yeast, and it is getting converted into alcohol, carbon dioxide, and energy. Okay, so this is the schematic representation for anaerobic respiration. The glucose is being broken down in the absence of oxygen, and alcohol, carbon dioxide, and energy is being released. Now we come to the differentiation between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So one of the major difference between aerobic and anaerobic is there that oxygen is utilized during the aerobic respiration and oxygen is not used during the anaerobic respiration. Here complete breakdown of food is happening. Here incomplete breakdown is happening. End product is carbon dioxide and water. Okay, here the end product is alcohol, carbon dioxide, and energy. Okay, in aerobic respiration, a very major portion of energy is being released, while in the anaerobic respiration, less amount of energy is released. Now here you can see in page number 71, test your understanding. This is going to be a homework for today. Okay, you have to learn it. Now we come to stages of respiration. So respiration is happening and basically in two stages, external and internal. And another name for internal respiration is cellular respiration. Okay, that means happening inside a cell. So external respiration is happening physically or mechanical process of respiration. Okay, it's happening externally. So what is happening? You are breathing in oxygen and you are releasing out carbon dioxide. Okay, that means inhalation. When we breathe in, that process is known as inhalation. When we breathe out, that process is called exhalation. Okay, so that basically indicate the outer physical simple process of respiration, that is inhalation and exhalation. That is external respiration, or we can say it as a breathing. Internal or cellular respiration, what is happening? That is taking place within every single cell. It's a biochemical reaction, means the reaction that is happening biologically inside the living cell, biocell, having life, and chemical because the chemicals is being released. Okay, carbon dioxide, water, energy. Okay, that's why the term is given biochemical reaction. And here what is happening? Glucose in the presence of oxygen is being broken down to carbon dioxide, water and energy. Okay, because energy has to be released now, because our body needs different energy too, so that it can perform different life activities. And for performing these life activities, we need the energy, and energy is being released by the breaking down of the glucose, by breaking down of the food that we consume. So what are the important points? So oxygen is needed for this respiration or breaking down of glucose, that is inhalation. And what is next? This oxidation of glucose is happening, and what is being formed? Carbon dioxide, water and energy is being released. And a series of reaction, it's not a simple one step process. Okay, for this thing, for the just release of energy, a several steps process is happening. Okay, and these steps are being controlled by certain enzymes. Okay, and lastly the energy is released, and it is formed of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This is a very energy rich chemical, and it gets stored in our cells, and it can be broken down whenever the energy is being required of our body. So this is basically the energy rich cells, and when it gets stored in the cells, our cell is termed as the energy reservoir. Reservoir means that is storing a lot of energies. So this process of respiration involves the breakdown of food materials to ATP, carbon dioxide and water in the presence of oxygen. Okay, now what is the site of respiration? The site of respiration in plant is mitochondria or cytoplasms. So the respiration in plants is different from the animals. Okay, in plants, in certain parts it's happening, but in living beings, animals, it is happening in every single cell. Okay, and in plants the respiratory gases, okay, for example carbon dioxide during the daytime, it has to be transported to a very little distance it has to cover. But for example in we human beings, we are breathing in air in through our nose. There's only a single organ for this inhalation or exhalation, and that air we breathe in, or whatever oxygen that we are taking, has to be transferred to each and every single cell of our different body parts. Okay, and in plants this respiration is happening at a very slow rate, but in animals it's happening at a very very fast rate. Okay, respiration is also happening in the plants because plants also need energy for their survival now. But during the daytime they are taking carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen, but during at night they are taking in oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide. Okay, these are the respiratory gases. Oxygen and carbon dioxide are the respiratory gases. Now exchange of gases in plants. So what is happening? This exchange of respiratory gas is happening in the leaves, okay, by the process called diffusion. Okay, through the stomata it is happening. Through the stomata the carbon dioxide is breathed in and oxygen is released, and through the stomata also the oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide is released. Okay, but in some of the woody stems, okay, or hard parts, there is one cell called lenticels. It is present. Through this lenticels this exchange is happening. Okay, this is also known as the fine opening. Okay, Now respiration and photosynthesis. So all of you should know one basic thing, that respiration is happening throughout in our body. It is doesn't mean it whether it's night or day, the respiration will go on, but the photosynthesis can happen only during the daytime. It can't happen during the night. Okay, so at night time, during daytime, what is happening? The photosynthesis is occurring and oxygen is released. But at night time, photosynthesis can't happen and oxygen is not produced. The plant is also using the oxygen and it is releasing the carbon dioxide during the night time. So that is a major difference between the photosynthesis and respiration. It is happening in every single cell. It is happening. So photosynthesis is responsible for synthesis of food, while the respiration, it is oxidation of food is happening. Now oxygen is released as a byproduct, but at respiration carbon dioxide, water and energy is released. Okay, it is happening in only cells that has chlorophyll, but respiration happens in every single cell. Photosynthesis can happen in the presence of light, but respiration, it can happen whether it's day or night. It is not dependent upon light. It is food is manufactured in this process, and in respiration the food is broken down.